What is a glorb? Glorbs, and by extension, the lakewood tree, show up for the first time in the episode, Do You Have Any More in Back? While Enid laments the idea of getting lost in randomly generated back rooms, the camera gives viewers a neon sign look at the tree. This location is notable. It will show up again. Glorbs are properly introduced as a go-to power source for robots in the episode I Am Dendy. Actually, there's a lot of things introduced in this episode for the very first time. I Am Dendy also features an arcade cabinet with LED on the side of it. Also, this is Professor Venomous's first on-screen appearance outside of the Before series shorts. KO specifically pulls out his POW card. So, getting back to the discussion about Glorbs, according to Dendy, they're rare and hard to source. The first place Dendy suggests to obtain one is by destroying Mr. Logic and harvesting his Glorb-powered core. KO shuts this down on the principle Mr. Logic is a sapient being with no obvious substitutes or spare parts. The Boxbots, on the other hand, seem to have limitless resources and a home base at Boxmoor, so there might be a spare Glorb hidden in parts left over from previous battles. There aren't. The episode Let's Have a Stakeout establishes that shadowy figure knows about and breaks into the Glorb tree antechamber often. He steals small amounts to avoid rousing suspicion and keep his black market sales interests high. He makes himself obvious and traceable to lure KO into another fight and continue trying to draw out TKO again. The episode Villain's Night Out establishes that Boxman doesn't know about the Lakewood tree and has to be careful about what Glorbs he does pick up and use for the Boxbots. Dendy and KO didn't find any among scrap bot parts, probably because Boxman seemingly has some kind of homing or retrieval system that returns Glorbs to processing when bots are blown up. Venomous shows open interest in Boxman's supply, probably because despite Shadowy's antics, he has to be similarly resourceful with what Glorbs he has on hand that Shadowy hasn't hidden away. Maybe Boxman is savvier with Glorbs and Professor Venomous's own attempts to invent with them. This is the first big sale Boxman successfully makes after the botched dinner party. Direct attention is given to Venomous looking at or commenting about the Glorbs as a breadcrumb about his connection to Shadowy Figure. The idea of going turbo is introduced with TKO. In the episode Villain's Night In, it comes up again when Fink reveals a specialized collar Venomous built for her that allows her to go turbo with a Glorb. It supercharges her existing abilities for a short adrenaline-like spurt. Venomous was probably intrigued by Boxman figuring out how to draw more energy for longer from Glorbs, since the method is reliable enough to power a Boxbot 24/7. Venomous's collar drains Glorbs quickly. Fink has to keep an absurd number of them on hand if she wants more than just a few minutes in turbo state. In the episode You're in Control, Boxman Jr. and TKO crash through Boxman's Glorb processing room into a storage tank below. TKO breaks through the tank to rush towards Boxman Jr. and eats several Glorbs along the way. The result is the Glorbs supercharge his powers similar to what power-up Fink needs the collar to achieve. Anyone else that goes turbo has to use the collar Venomous created. And the supercharge isn't restricted to going turbo. In the episode I Am Jethro, one of the Jethros on the assembly line gets a sizable upgrade in processing power, intelligence, and capability when he accidentally receives a cluster of Glorbs instead of just one. So Glorbs can give a boost to any potential invention, effect, or ability. Hence why their most common use case is a robot power source or someone's invention. The episode Gar Quest reveals the origin of the Lakewood tree. The President of the Universe is a supernatural figure that plays by similar rules to fairies in fantasy, or higher plane figures in sci-fi, that can guide or nudge mortals, but not directly interfere. Gar steps in and protects the tree, as well as other natural occurring Glorb sites, on behalf of the President. The hope is to stop or minimize entities like Shadowy Figure from abusing, exploiting, and hoarding them. In the episode Dark Plaza, Foxtail forcibly takes over Lakewood Plaza and sets up a harvesting processing plant similar to Boxmoor's, though her system is set to drain everything from the tree. It's visibly bare, and leaves disintegrate when they fall off the branches. Foxtail claims this is an effort to intercept and prevent what a villain would do with unfettered access. What's interesting is that Shadowy is very surgical and careful about how many he takes until he gets too power hungry. Anyone that has studied or interacted with the Glorbs directly knows their finite resource. The tree serves as a symbol for how much a fascistic regime drains and ruins the world, people, and environment around it, in a relentless gallop towards full, uncontested control. This grasp for control comes at the cost of what makes Glorb so powerful and appealing in the first place. The tree and other sources are hidden and guarded to prevent others abusing and hoarding them, no matter what their alignment or goals. The episode We Are Heroes shows what role Glorbs play in nature or the existing environment. While robots and superpowers are the most explicit, obvious narrative examples, this is an attempt to remind viewers that the Glorbs are a natural part of the world, not a manufactured one. The rainbow dragon relies on an easily accessible, consistently replenished supply for food. A steady diet ensures the dragon stays healthy, which means the dragon has a full Mariah Elizabeth favorite staple along his back. While enough Glorbs appear in the episode to the point it challenges plot points about artificial scarcity, they're also used and interacted with by characters that don't assign monetary or capitalistic value to them. If Venomous or Boxman were the antagonists here, there would have been commentary about oil and wars over resources like what's touched on in Dark Plaza. In the episode Let's Fight to the End, Shadowy lays out exactly why he became a bioengineer. His hunger for power drove him to try and modify himself to be compatible with absorbing Glorbs. Venomous's power was the ability to drain other superpowers, but he was never satisfied or satiated. He envied Carol's ability to mimic and recreate anyone else's power with enough attention to detail or practice. Her ability seemed more versatile and proactive than his own. His frustration led to inventions like the neutralizing orb that handicapped Dr. Grayman, and the collar that gives Fink an artificial equivalent to TKO's turbo state. The collar is artificial. KO has the ability to absorb and maximize Glorbs naturally. He can both pump up his powers as well as drain others' powers entirely. It tracks that Carol's mimic ability would be a potent mix with Venomous's powers. Venomous decides that owning TKO is the best result he could find. Rather than continue trying to experiment on himself, he'll use his authority and position as TKO's dad to force him to enact his revenge scheme. So, once again, the Glorbs are situated as part of an allegory about how corrupt people bend everything into a tool on an endless quest for power and more. When KO asks the president of the universe what Glorbs are, he describes them as the building blocks of KO's world. They're the source of superpowers, cartoon physics, and everything zany, playful, and fun. It's still ambiguous who exactly the president is, and his relationship with the makeup of KO's fictional universe. The closest I can think of is that he's the eccentric uncle from the same neck of the cosmos as Q from Star Trek, Mixel Spitlick from Superman, or even the Beyonder in Moon Girl. He lives in an eternal state of 70s and disco. Unlike those other ornery, petty, make-mischief beings with godlike powers, the president is a benevolent figure. He can't step in, but he gladly gives a godly hand up to persons like Mr. Gar and KO because they push his world closer towards the kind, loving place he wants it to be. I was trying something a bit different than my usual analysis for this one. It's meant to be kind of an overview or primer on Glorbs rather than a full deep dive. Since they're used in such a vast variety of ways, there's many different potential analyses and deep dive topics related to them. In a very condensed nutshell, Glorbs are fun. They can be anything anyone wants and power all of the fantastical elements of KO's world. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a comment and like the video. Share it, tell your friends. If you like what I'm cooking up, subscribe, ring the bell, add me to your RSS reader. If you're in a decent position and can do so or want to, I'd seriously appreciate you checking out my Patreon. I upload all my videos there too, and even if you join for free, no ads.